Fire. What is it? Don't worry, there's nothing to do with this lighter. Let me ignite a spark to grow that fire in you. Are you young, full of energy, and with that clear goal ahead of you, which is financial freedom, but you don't have a game plan or anything to guide you to that goal? So, FIRE is an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early. There are many ways for approaching this, which all depends on what your definition of financial independence really is. Most FIRE practitioners aim to save enough money to give them the freedom they want and to avoid depending on a regular job to pay the bills. In its most extreme versions, of course, FIRE adherents minimize expenses by giving up all the small comforts in life, from turning on the heat or air conditioning to buying a cup of coffee. But there are folks who enjoy the journey with more moderate sacrifices. In this version of FIRE, it's about living within one's means while saving for the future. For example, maybe Steve spends $3,000 per month while he is still working, and he wants to maintain that lifestyle even after retiring. He will have to have enough money to sustain his lifestyle for the rest of his life without working. That would be quite a lot of money. However, Bob, on the other hand, might also spend $3,000 for the rest of his life, but he wants to work a job that he truly enjoys doing. And in this case, it's cherry picking. So Bob might not have to save up as much as Steve, since he is still making some money while working as a cherry picker. Both Steve and Job has achieved financial freedom by doing so, although they have different perspectives of what financial freedom is like. There are three broad approaches to FIRE. Number 1, Fat FIRE. Being able to retire without altering your current standard of living. This requires the most aggressive saving and investment strategies. Number 2, Lean FIRE. Being willing to live a minimalist lifestyle to cut expenses to bone in retirement. Lean FIRE individuals aim to survive on, say, $25,000 annually. Number 3, Barista FIRE. This is between the two extremes of Fat and Lean FIRE. Maintain more than a minimalist lifestyle in retirement through a combination of savings and part-time or gig work. Most FIRE practitioners aim to save 25 times their annual expenses. This strategy is based on two common retirement strategies, the 25x rule and the 4% rule, each of which help people set up safe rates of withdrawal from their retirement savings. Alright, adders, tell me what the 25x and the 4% rule is all about. The 25x rule states that to save enough for retirement, you will need to save 25 times the amount of your annual expenses for maintaining your current lifestyle for a 30-year retirement and not run out of money. However, it is important to note that although this is a good rule of thumb, there are fractures where this breaks apart. For instance, the 25x rule does not account for unexpected life events that may occur. It's important and necessary to plan for retirement. But it's just as important to remember that you cannot predict the future. Additionally, the 25x rule does not account for any of your additional sources of income. You may decide to pick up a part-time job to help fuel your days. You could receive a pension or have different sources of income coming into your bank account. If this is the case, you will adjust the amount you need to save based on these numbers. Finally, the 25x rule does not always translate accurately for those who are looking to retire early. If you are looking to retire in your 40s or 50s, the 25x rule will need to be adjusted so that you can enjoy each year of retirement with financial independence, not just the first 25 to 30 years. Okay, now that you have a better understanding on the 25x rule, let's talk about the 4% rule. The 4% rule is a common rule of thumb in retirement planning to help you avoid running out of money in retirement. It states that you can comfortably withdraw 4% of your savings in the first year of retirement and adjust that amount for inflation for every subsequent year, without risking running out of money for at least 30 years. It sounds great in theory, and it may work for some in practice. But there's no one right answer for everyone. And if you are blindly following this formula without considering whether it's right for your situation, you could end up either running out of money prematurely or being left with a financial surplus that you could have spent on things you enjoy. When should you use the 4% rule? The 4% rule assumes your investment portfolio contains about 60% stocks and 40% bonds. It also assumes you will keep your spending level throughout retirement. If both of these things are true for you, and you want to follow the simplest possible retirement withdrawal strategy, the 4% rule might be right for you. However, you should be aware that the 4% rule is an older rule. Following it no longer necessarily guarantees you won't run short of funds. It may work depending on how your investments perform, but you can't count on it being a sure thing, as it was developed when bond interest rates were much higher than they are now. If you want to be 100% sure you won't be running out of money, following the 4% rule likely isn't the best choice. Not only is it an older rule, but it also does not account for changing market conditions, which is very, very important. In a recession, it's probably not wise to step up your withdrawal amounts. You may even want to reduce them slightly. But when the markets are doing well, you might be able to withdraw more than 4% comfortably. If you have chosen an asset allocation other than the 60% stocks and 40% bonds, you should also avoid the 4% rule, because this is the asset mix the rule was based on. When you invest differently, your portfolio will perform differently. For example, investing more in bonds could result in slower investment growth because bonds typically don't see the returns that stocks do. This problem is exacerbated by the fact when the 4% rule was developed, bond interest rates were much higher than they are today. Finally, if you're expecting your spending patterns to change throughout the retirement, the 4% rule isn't the best approach. Most retirees are often more active in the early part of their retirement. They often devote more time to hobbies and travel, and their spending is often higher. Spending then falls in the middle part of retirement before rising again due to costly healthcare expenditures later in life. The 4% rule is not dynamic enough to account for these lifestyle changes. It limits you to a set amount, which may be too little in your early years and too much in your later years. The last point that I would like to state will be, do not do FIRE just because you don't like the job they are currently working at and to escape from it. You might be drawn to the FIRE movement if you hate your job. After all, only 31% of American workers say that they are engaged at work. It's also no wonder that a growing number of young workers are dreaming about leaving the workplace altogether. But there's a deeper problem that lies beneath the surface, and FIRE isn't going to solve it. If you hate your job, you don't need FIRE. What you really need is a new career path. Finding your sweet spot. That's the place where your greatest talents and passions intersect. Even folks who follow FIRE will tell you that. If your sole desire is to retire early so you can escape going to work on Monday, you are going to be very disappointed. Life is too short to waste decades or even 1 year working a job you hate. Alright, that's all I have for you today. If you are wondering which type of FIRE I would like to choose in the future, I would definitely go with Barista FIRE, because Barista FIRE allows me to do what I actually love, such as content creation, while be able to live my life normally without any financial burden or worries. Another reason why I would choose Barista FIRE over the others, because I don't feel that there's a point to retire at such an early age and just waste my life lying on the bed staring into the space. I would rather train my mind and do something that I actually love doing and continue to learn new things. Which type of fire would you like to ignite? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have enjoyed watching this video or have learned something new from this video, you can show your support by hitting the like and subscribe button down below, and also hitting the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a new video. Remember, your support will always be my greatest motivation to keep posting new videos. And also remember to save, invest, and win. Peace out. FIRE.